Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Thursday, the 4th day of April, 2024. We woke up to snow. Let me make sure my volume's up enough, I think. Well, I'll put up a little more. We woke up to snow this morning. There's anywhere, depending on where you look, there could be anywhere from 2 to 4 inches out there. And I don't even know. You know, they changed the zones, the gardening zones. Whoever they is, I don't know. I don't know who does that. But they did, and we're no longer in zone 5, we're in zone 6 now. So I don't really understand why there's snow out there, especially this amount. I could see a dusting maybe, but not this. This is crazy. So at least we got everything we needed to do out of the way yesterday. Although we may have some things coming up, so I'm hoping we can postpone it till next week when the weather's better. Because I think we're done this week. I think it's going to still be really cold tonight, and so this isn't melting anytime soon. Maybe by Monday of next week, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But let's go ahead and get started here and take the runes, figure out what the reading's going to be all about. Let's see, we have Sewillow. Sewillow is the rune of the sun. It's the 16th rune of the Elder Futhark. It's essentially the rune of illumination and self-confidence. It's the rune of the higher self. It's actually an as above, so below rune. There's a few of them in the Elder Futhark that look this way, that you can actually divide it that way, but you could divide the top part here as the as above side and the bottom part as the below side. And essentially it's Kenaz forward and reverse skewed. And so Kenaz is the torch, and it's the light of spirit and all of that. So you can see the relationship then to Sewillow, basically. But it's a fire element rune. It's a rune of the will again. It's about energy, spirit, healing, illumination, and again, the link between spirit and form. So when I get Sewillow in a reading, generally speaking, I will, at first blush, I'm going to say that something's going to come out today. Something's going to be revealed today. Given Kenaz's influence on this rune, basically revelation makes sense. So something is going to come out. Some truth is going to be revealed today. Now let's take a look at that's from the higher self side. Let's take a look at the lower part of things, the below side, the geomancy side, or the ego side, physical form side of things. We'll put the runes, the elemental runes, in the order of fire, air, water, and earth. There's air. There's fire. Okay, so we have Tristitia. Now, Tristitia is the complement of Laetitia, whereas Laetitia is about joy. Tristitia is about sadness, but it's about sadness, the kind of sadness that you get stuck in. The joy with the stuckness with Laetitia might be superficiality, where you're really not expressing joy from the heart, but it's more of a transactional type of thing. That would be the extreme side of Laetitia, maybe. But with Tristitia, you're talking about being stuck in grief, stuck in loss, to the point that you get real negative, maybe even mean-spirited because you're angry about whatever loss you're experiencing, whatever sadness. It just goes way, way, way too far. And it's considered an evil influence even. Because when things get that far, you can't see anything realistically at all. There's no joy left in your life. There's nothing. It's just you're just all consumed by this fear or anger or whatever it is, or grief or loss that you're involved that's happened in your life, and you can't see it from a realistic perspective. You're just too consumed by it. And so something's going to illuminate today to either bring you out of that. Higher self is the answer, really, to be able to see what has happened from that perspective instead of from the reactive ego perspective, essentially. So in other words, Sewillow is the way out of Tristitia today. So let's see though what the cards have to say, because that's some real extreme energy here today. I'm going to go ahead and just shuffle a couple more times. I've been doing that already. If you've been here before, you know that. And if this is your first time here, welcome. Sorry to have such a negative rune here on the geomancy side, but it can mean holding grudges, hanging on to stuff way too long. And either higher awareness comes in today and says, well, there's a better way here to understand all of this and to deal with it, to where you can let go of that and come back to the world, essentially, and your relationships and love and joy and everything else, and that it's okay, if you've experienced an extreme loss, say a death in the family or something, that could be something that's all consuming. And maybe you feel guilty about feeling joy or being happy because you just don't feel like you can do that. Well, you can, and you should, because that person wouldn't want you to be there. That person would want you to go on living, right? Well, sometimes that's hard to do in a case like that. But, if it's not something like that, and it's just, maybe your relationship ended, or, you're gonna go and look for another job or something, and you're upset about it. And true, you might stay there. You might be angry for a while. But again, from a higher perspective, it doesn't do you any good to be there that way. So let's go ahead and cut the deck and take 3 cards. Well, we don't have anything from the court. Yay. Well, I shouldn't say that. The court's an interesting. Once you get to working with the court and you start to understand it a little bit better, it's a little easier to do them in readings. But sometimes they can be irritating because it's like you have to decide. Well, are you going to look at the person on the card itself and talk about that as the reality of it, or is it the qualities therein? And so it's a little more complex, but it's okay. We have one from let's see. Did we do this? Yes, it was the same type of pattern on Monday where we had one from the major arcana and an ace. In that case, we had the Fool and the Ace of Pentacles, and then we also had the Seven of Wands. But today we have Strength for the major arcana card, and we have the Ace of Swords, and then we have the Five of Pentacles. Let's go ahead before we go any further, because one of these days, I don't think it was Monday, I think it was last Thursday, I forgot to do the numerology. I did it when I did the write-up over on the blog. And that's the other thing, I write this stuff up. I do the notes and just a little bit of a write-up over at the blog. And that's called Stepping Aside. And the web address is imsteppingaside.com. Click on more below the video and it'll open up a window, and that stuff's all there if you forget. But I do a write-up over there, and I also publish it over on Patreon, Medium, and Substack. So if you want to do both, see the video and look at the write-up, those are the places you can do that at. Easiest place is the blog, though. Let's see. So let's see now. Suolo again was the 16th rune, so that's 16 plus 8 for strength, plus 1 for the ace, plus 5 equals 30. So we have a 3 numerology. 3 is about creativity, it's about communication, it's about triplicities. Did I say creativity? Maybe I did, maybe I just thought it. Anyway, creativity, if I didn't say that. Optimism, that's another word for the 3 numerology. So it could be that integration maybe, or communication or interactions may have something to do with the 3. I guess I prefer the word integration over anything else because I don't know, it just sort of seems to cover everything. But if we're looking for a way to release the extreme sorrow or grief or sadness or grudges or getting stuck in all of that, if we're looking for a way to release that, it happens through higher awareness. It doesn't happen through the ego. It just doesn't. And being able to release that means you have to transmute all that into spirit and give it no more attention, in other words, and start forcing yourself to think better thoughts. And to see things from a less emotional perspective. And when you're stuck there, that's really tough to do. It's going to take some inner strength on your part. 8 is about strength. It's about leadership, material recognition and approval, harmony. But here it's about taming the ego within, taming the wild within. And that's essentially what I'm talking about when we talk about Sewillow and Tristitia here. In fact, you can, I mean, it's just in both runes are basically the energy of are embedded in this card. You know, you're looking at this lovely woman here. She's got the figure 8 above her head, the lemniscate. She's wearing just a little crown of flowers and whatnot there. She also has the same type of belt made of flowers there, a garland for a belt, you could say. You see some mountains in the distance. You see a lot of verdant green ground and abundance around her. But she's essentially holding the lion's head in her hand. His tongue's hanging out because he's just loving the fact that she's, you know, scratching his head and being very loving with him. But it's essentially what strength is about, is taming the wild within. And that's the same thing, you know, with letting go of things that are so that are keeping you stuck in one set of perceptions, one set of emotions, however you want to see that. And you can't let go of it. So the focus then is on the instinct side of self, essentially, the base side of self, the animal side of self, that doesn't access that higher awareness that, you know. And this, of course, is a continuous process with the lemniscate there. Right, with the figure 8. And again, the figure 8, if you turn it and look at it this way, you know, it represents inner strength, essentially, and the numerology 8 here on the card. But so I think it takes a higher level of strength, in other words, to transmute those reactions into something that's more realistic. And allows you then to move on with your life in a way that's loving and joyful and engaging and being able to essentially interact with other people. Again, with the 3 numerology for the reading, you know, you have to come back to that place in life. And you have to let go of all of the drama that you're feeling about something. And it's not to say that whatever it was that caused those emotions, that precipitated it, it's not saying that it didn't happen. It's not saying that you shouldn't feel something about it, because you should. All right, you should. You should not be indifferent to the things that happen around you. And I'm not suggesting that, but to be able to look upon it in a way that releases those intense emotions so that you can see the whole picture. You know, if you focus on the loss of something, you can never look at what was good about it, of what was all the positive memories you have about it. You can't even go there with the rune Tristitia. That's what it's suggesting. You can't even examine any of that. You can't remember that without massive grief, and so you shut that away. But that was, if it was somebody in your life, that was the life you had with them. And you can't forget that. And you want to remember those things because that's the beautiful part of it. But with Tristitia, if you get stuck, you don't. And if you can't get out of it, then you're hurting yourself. And that's not why you're here, to live there. In other words, you've chosen to live there. And through the light of spirit, you see, you learn you don't have to. You can acknowledge what happened without falling into the morass of it all or going into the abyss of it all, you see. And that takes that level of inner strength talked about in the major arcana card. And then when you do, when you start to understand that, then new thoughts come your way. And you can see things and reason things out a little bit better. Here we have the Ace of Swords. Swords is the intellect. It's the air element. And so again, communication as well. And it also involves legal issues and deception and truth and all of that. But part of Tristitia is some self-deception, thinking you have to stay there, as somehow you can't go anywhere else with your emotions or your perceptions. You have to stay locked right there. Well, no. Once you realize and you let higher self, essentially fold you into that resonance, right? Then it's okay to move on. It's okay to see things from a different perspective here. And it may be, because here you have the hand reaching out like you do in all ace cards in the Rider-Waite deck, or in Rider-Waite type decks. You'll see the hand that reaches out from the cloud, having to do with whatever, with pentacles on Monday. It was holding a large coin. Here it's holding a sword, the sword of truth. Okay. And again, staying locked in Tristitia, not allowing higher awareness to come in and let you see the truth of it all. Here this is also representing Sewillow. Even though Sewillow's a fire element rune, still this is truth coming out from darkness. All right? And you're willing to then, after you can let go of what's no longer serving you here, you can now move on with inner strength, with higher awareness, and now you can express your truth in a better way. Maybe you've never talked about your feelings with anyone else that might also be similarly affected by what you're being affected by. And so you've never come out of your house to go and talk to the rest of your family or the rest of your friends or whatever, that other people that have been impacted by the same experience. And that's and to not do that, well, they don't benefit from your perspective and you don't benefit from theirs. And so maybe they're the loving presence that will pull you out of that and get you back into living once again in a way that's happy and loving and successful in your life. And I don't know, maybe we should have started with this first. The Five of Pentacles suggests change has happened, and destitution, and grief and sorrow. So realistically, we can actually put this at the beginning and say that we have something has happened in your material life, in your life, whether either with your home life, with people in your life, work, whatever's happening, but it's affected your ability to even see that help is on the other side of that stained glass window. These two people, they're destitute. Their clothes are tattered. They're walking in the snow, other than with bandages on their feet, or maybe some socks right here, or maybe that person is barefooted. It's hard to tell. Kind of looks like maybe they're just wearing socks. And over here, this one might be wearing one boot, but it almost looks like it's blue bandages. And here you see some evidence of blood right here on the bandage there, and he's walking on crutches, and they're huddled against the elements, the snow, like what we have today. But something has happened. A major change has happened in their life. Maybe they lost their home. And they're walking by and they're not paying attention to likely a church that's right here that either is not open to them, or they just can't see it. And I think that the attitude of not being able to see what the help that's being offered, or the help that's there for them, I think is a theme in today's reading, especially with Tristitia. It's almost like these people are so bound up in the change that's happened in their lives that they can't see that there's anything positive. And so it's just fighting against the elements, leaning into the snow without adequate covering. Without adequate clothing, without adequate footwear, all of that. And they're and one on crutches. They clearly need help, but maybe they can't see that help is available. And I think that that's where you get locked up in the idea of Tristitia. So whatever this is that's going on, I think we need to actually start the reading with this change, with the 5. So I'm going to move that to the beginning. Then move to the strength card, where you access inner strength and tame all of that within. Let higher awareness inform your perceptions and your emotions and how you see all of this, so that you can move out of that and then come back and be able to interact effectively with other people. Because there's support out there, even if it's just from talking with others. Again, if it's a loss in a family, to get together with everybody and just hug each other and love each other, and tell them you love them, and allow them to do the same for you, and to talk about what happened and to share those feelings, you won't feel as alone. With this card, it just feels like these people feel like they're completely alone in all of this, and there's no help available with this massive change that's happened in their lives. And again, you can get stuck there and just feel like you're falling into the morass or the abyss, into a pit of despair. And there's no reason for that. There's no reason for you to be alone. And there is assistance out there. There are people out there that you can talk to and try to get yourself out of that. And even if you just start listening to higher awareness, who's probably been trying to pull you along here and it's not happening, well, now's the time to drop resistance to that and to allow what you know to come in, what you already know to be true. And then reach out to other people who are going through that, who are going through it with you, alongside of you, that you haven't interacted with. You need to have that type of interaction now. You need to have that kind of support so that you know you're not alone in the healing process. Because trust me, Tristitia is really talking about the strong need for a healing process to take place, and you're resisting it for some reason. Some people feel like, oh, I can't be happy because I just lost this person, in my life. And my happiness is I can't be happy because now they're gone. But yes, you can. It doesn't mean that you're not sad. It doesn't mean that it wasn't an awful experience. It doesn't mean that it's not going to take you time, because it will. But there has to be that movement, and it's not linear. I know that when my mother passed, I had the realtor that sold her home, which I bought. She just came and signed the papers, and she did it before she even saw the house. So no stress there, right? But when she passed, she was ill, and the realtor's her name was Joanne. She told me, be gentle on yourself. And every time I pull Tristitia, I think of this conversation that I had with her. And she says, it's not linear. 1 minute you're going to be doing okay, and the next minute you're going to be in a puddle, right? You're going to be in tears. You're going to be upset. Maybe your whole day's shot from it. But the next day you're going to get up and you're going to start again. And so it's like you hear about the 5 stages of grief. Well, it's not linear. You don't get one, then the next, and then the next. Even to this day, she died in 96, and to this day, I can become teary about it. So, and wish for things that can't be anymore. And that's a tough thing, especially if it's a parent, and but you have to still make that progress. You still have to be gentle on yourself. But with Tristitia, it seems to be suggesting here that this has gone on too long, to a point of being emotionally destructive for you. And you don't need that. You're worth more than that. You have a right to live your life, and you should. And doing so does not disrespect. If this is a death in the family, it doesn't disrespect that person. That person has already moved on to other lifetimes, and doesn't want you to feel this way. Would never want you to feel this way if it's something like that. And again, it could be any kind of major change in your life, where you just can't get out of the depression over it. And at some point, again, it just becomes way too destructive. And it takes something strong, like the inner strength of higher awareness of your soul, in other words, defining for you at this point what needs to happen, instead of allowing the ego to do that. And because, as we all know, grief can be all encompassing depending on what it is. Right, depending on what's happened, and you need to feel your feelings. You do. It's just that there's a point at which your feelings cannot govern your life any longer. It's okay to begin to soften all of that and to move in a better direction for yourself. So if this is happening for you, or this is happening for someone else, maybe you're the person who's going to come and help them release some of that and help them to move forward, you see. And if it's you, then maybe this is the beginning of that realization. If you've stayed stuck here in a place for way too long, then it's okay. It's okay to let that go and to release that hold that you're having, that the ego is having on yourself, on your mind, on your perceptions, on your emotions. Okay? And to let that light, let that clarity come back into your life, and let things smooth out so you can then move forward. So anyway, I guess that's it. But, I think, again, we have to, for this reading to truly see the pattern and the the pattern of it all, then we have to move the 5 to the beginning. And when I do this on the blog and I publish it everywhere else, I'm going to have the cards begin with 5, then the 8 for strength, and then the Ace of Swords. That's going to be the order that the cards are going to be read in. So when I do it when I put it up on the blog, you're going to see it that way. But I know this is a tough thing. I've been there, and I know how tough it is to have to let go of things that just are hard to let go of. There's a certain sense of comfort and safety in grief that doesn't end. And I know that sounds weird, but think about it. Just think about it for a while. If it wasn't, if you weren't, if you didn't feel, because see, you don't have to take a risk anywhere. There's the safety part of it. But that's not meant to be the life you live. So, big things on a Thursday. Well, anyhow, sometimes it's big things all the time. And it's just hard, isn't it, to let go of stuff like that, especially when there's just so much coming in on you and you just feel so weighted down by it all. So anyhow, thanks for watching, and click subscribe, and I hope you'll come back again on Monday. This is I do this on Mondays and Thursdays, if you didn't know that, and come back again on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.